Hey y'all, so it's Kim. Yesterday I looked at a New York Times article and let it read to us because I was done for the day. But anyway, um, there was a letter in there from this Woody Allen guy. So he's another figure that was around Epstein. This, you know, this guy's been around for a long, long time. But anyway, his name is Haywood Allen, born Allen Stewart Konigsberg. November 30th, 1935, is an American filmmaker, actor, and comedian whose career spans 8 decades. The 1950s to the 2020s, Allen has received many accolades, including the most nominations, 16 for the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. He has won 4 Academy Awards, 10 BAFTA Awards, 2 Golden Globes, blah, 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 blah. Cecil D. or B. DeMille Award, National Registry, blah, 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 and Library of Congress, sorry. Um, Allen began his career writing material for television in the 1950s alongside Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, Larry Gelbart, and Neil Simon. Let's see. This guy is a little weird because he's been married 3 times, and then I think this lady right here was actually his adopted daughter of his former wife, Mia Farrow, or partner, whatever you want to call her. They were together for 12 years. So, anyway, we're not dealing with people that are like, with good morals. Let's just call it that. But let's see. Let me look and see where this letter is. Okay. So, being neighbors, my wife Soon Yi and I have been invited for dinners many times, always accept, always interesting, wide variety of interesting people at every dinner, just about politicians, scientists, teachers, magicians, comedians, intellectuals, journalists, an entomologist, a concert pianist. Anyhow, it's always interesting, and the food is sumptuous and abundant. Lots of dishes, plenty of choices, numerous desserts, well served. I say well served, often it's by some professional houseman, and just as often by several young women, reminding, one of the Castle Dracula, where Lugosi has 3 young female vampires who serve the place. Add to this that Jeffrey lives in a vast house alone. One can picture him sleeping in damp earth. But back to the food, dependably a fine dinner. But this wasn't was not always the case. In fact, the first time we came over was a very different story. We were invited with a list of accomplished types, men and women in journalists or journalism, whatever, in TV, even royalty. We were ushered up to the living room where everyone sat around prior to dinner being served and chatted. No drinks were served. You could get one if you asked for one. That should have been the first clue. When the meal was put out downstairs, it was meager. So meager, my wife, the ones sitting next to her, kept mumbling, "Is this it? Is this all we're getting? After I leave, I may have to go to a restaurant." We didn't want to say anything when we came the next time, but my wife, hold on, did say in that tactful way she has, "There's going to be more food, isn't there?" Under her badgering, the situation gradually improved, and subsequent dinners offered buckets of Chinese food ordered from a local restaurant and placed out on a buffet where one could get in line and help oneself. It all seemed odd for a man of substance who entertained many illustrious guests often. Under hold on, under continued badgering by my wife, arrangements were made for food to be cooked at home and served. She had to explain the order in which things come out, not the main course and then the appetizer, but the other way around. In time, she bullied him into putting a few flowers in the middle of the table to make it look mildly warm and inviting. This took time and a number of corrections, but his meals have been tweaked into some sense of normal civil dining. The large phone and computer at his right hand does take some relaxed home atmosphere out of it, but one can't have everything, not at Castle Dracula. And this is from Woody Allen. So he's comparing Epstein's house to the Dracula. Anyway, I'm just like, what the hell? Yeah. So pretty much this guy was like friends. Let's see if it shows anything about his actual friendship with Epstein, because I don't know when that letter was supposed to have been written. Let's see. It's probably going to be in the early 2000s, if anything. Let's see. Sorry if it's scrolling too fast. I'm trying not to make myself sick with that. But let's see if it mentions anything in here. Let's see. Angelica Houston. I've seen that name. Judy Davis. Let's see here. Personal life. Let's look at this. Early marriages. Ooh, sexual abuse allegation. So he's in decent company if that's the case. Okay, so according to court testimony on August 4th, 1992, Allen visited the children at Mia Farrow's home in Bridgewater, Connecticut, while she was shopping with a friend. The next day, that friend's babysitter told her employer that she had seen that Dylan was sitting on the sofa and Woody was kneeling on the floor facing him with his head in her lap. Excuse me? When Farrell asked Dylan about it, Dylan allegedly said that Allen had touched Dylan's private part while they were alone together in the attic. Excuse me? Allen strongly denied the allegation, calling it an unconscionable and gruesomely damaging manipulation of innocent children for vindictive and self-serving motives. He then began proceedings in New York Supreme Court for sole custody of his and Pharaoh's son Satchel, as well as Dylan and Moses, their two adopted children. In March of 1993, a 6-month investigation by the Child Sexual Abuse Clinic of Yale New Haven Hospital concluded that Dylan had not been sexually abused. In June of 1993, Judge Elliot Wilk rejected Allen's bid for custody and rejected the allegation of sexual abuse. Wilk said he was less certain than the Yale New Haven team that there was conclusive evidence that there was no sexual abuse, and called Allen's conduct with Dylan grossly inappropriate, although not sexual. In September 1993, the state prosecutor announced that despite having probable cause, he would not pursue charges in order to avoid the unjustifiable risk of exposing a child to the rigors and uncertainties of questionable prosecution. In October 1993, the New York Child Welfare Agency and the State Department of Social Services closed a 14-month investigation and concluded there was not credible evidence of abuse or maltreatment, and the allegation was unfounded. Okay, well, so he didn't do it. That's good. I mean, if he didn't do it, okay, cool. But it's just weird that it shows up on his little Wikipedia page and he knew Jeffrey Epstein. So anyway, just saying, I'm not accusing him of anything. I'm just pointing out they have a connection. Like Bill Clinton and even Donald Trump. It may not be anything nefarious, but it's there. I mean, Chris Tucker, what was the other guy? Kevin Spacey. I mean, a lot of people knew Jeffrey Epstein. Doesn't mean they did anything. I mean, I haven't seen anything smoking gun wise, but we'll see what Ghislaine Maxwell has to say about it too. But anyway, talk to y'all later. Have a good day. Bye. Oh, stop recording.